What's going on, Nerd Army guys? It's time once again for another Nerd Logic podcast. So this could be Nerd Logic podcast episode number 16, and I am joined by a very special guest. That is Mr. ChainSaw Reacts. Say what's up.
What is up, everybody? Okay, it's finally happened. Nerds Rise, ChainSaw Reacts in one video, besides a collaboration podcast about the greatest movie of all time, Star Wars: The Force Awakens.
That is true, guys. If you guys are not familiar with ChainSaw Reacts, tell us a little bit about your channel, ChainSaw.
Well, I'm a reactor on YouTube. I also do a podcast myself, and I'm a huge comic book fan, Marvel, DC, TV shows, movies, anything and everything that's just badass out there I love, and I have fun doing what I'm doing, so come check me out if you haven't heard of me already.
Alright guys, and all of ChainSaw's information for his channel will be in the description down below, so make sure to go check it out, give him some love, and tell him Nerds Mariah sent you. So guys, today we're going to talk about Star Wars: The Force Awakens. Like ChainSaw said, we're going to give you, this is going to be a full spoiler review. So as of right now, spoiler warning. You have been warned. Don't get pissed if something gets spoiled. So, I mean, we really want to talk about everything about this movie because this movie was phenomenal. But we really, let's start by talking about each character and our thoughts on the characters. So let's just start it off with Rey. She was obviously the main character in this movie.
Yes,
she was definitely the Luke Skywalker, I would say.
Quite literally, probably the relation of Luke Skywalker.
Yes, and that is one of the ones we're going to talk about at great distance later. No, but I mean, Rey, I feel she had an amazing character arc. She was just like start to finish. She was someone you wanted to care about, and you really gave a crap what happened to her. And you, right away, I mean, she was awesome. I mean, Daisy Ridley just killed it.
Yeah, she blew me away, and what I do have to applaud is the marketing team at Disney, because they really kept a lot hidden from the footage, from the descriptions. I'm so glad they kept this away, because it felt like a Finn, John Boyega Star Wars movie with the lightsaber he's holding and showing most of the footage is him and all this kind of stuff. And it's like, no, like 70% of the movie is Rey, and I really enjoy her character. It's phenomenal to see a female lead kind of lead this new, what we assume is going to lead the trilogy of this. It's amazing.
I mean, and I totally agree. I mean, it really was. It was a great character arc, and it's great to see a woman that's going to be the head of all of this, it seems like. I mean, don't get me wrong, Finn and everyone else were amazing, but it really was Daisy Ridley. It really was Rey's movie. I mean, in retrospect, it was Rey's movie. They had a lot of great dialogue, and she interacted amazingly with some great characters, but all in all, it was her movie, and she did amazing, from being a scavenger to being a badass Jedi bitch that just hacks up some Kylo Ren.
Some major ass.
Yeah, she was all doing like freaking behind the back spins and shit. I'm like, what?
Yeah. Oh my god, awesome stuff.
I was in the IMAX theater watching that, and as soon as she gets it, I'm like, get it, little Luke, just get it.
Little Luke. Wow.
I was like, everyone's looking at me like, dude, what the fuck are you talking about? Dude, that's got to be his daughter. Come on.
Yeah, because I think they kind of hinted at it when she touched Anakin's saber that ends up being Luke's. And when she touches it, she sees kind of a vision. And it's like, okay, look, that's kind of fishy. Why would she see that stuff? And then Maz Kanata is like, I've seen your eyes before, and that you need to close your eyes. Let the Force in. The saber calls to you. I'm like, how does it call to you if you're not related to the best Jedi in the world, Luke Skywalker? How?
That is completely true. That's exactly what I think too. I'm like, she's got to be related to him. I mean, other people are speculating. Oh, Han Solo and Leia had another kid. Well, I'm pretty sure Han would know about that kid.
I would hope so.
Because he's been spending a hell of a lot of time with her, and he don't even know.
Chewie, you have some explaining to do.
Oh God, Chewie and Leia had a nice long romantic weekend.
Oh yeah.
All right, but let's get into Finn. I mean, what is it? FN 11287 or
F numbers, emojis. I don't know.
well, I remember I think it's 127, and it was funny because I think it was Mr. Sunday did a little top hidden like Easter eggs.
Yeah.
And his number is the cell number where Leia was held in A New Hope. So
what a catch!
Yeah.
Straight. Damn. Okay.
I'm like, damn. No, but so I mean, Finn as a character, John Boyega did an amazing job. He really did. I mean, he showed emotion from every end of the spectrum in this portrayal, and it was just great to see someone. And this is the thing. A lot of people were throwing a fit. Oh, it's a black guy as the head lead in Star Wars. Well, motherfucker, he's still number 2. So get over yourself.
Still number 2.
You know, he's not number 1 like we were thinking because it's Rey's movie.
And what I like about his character is that the way they kind of misled us in a sense. It's like John Boyega has the saber. Well, he's holding it because Rey didn't pick it up.
Yep.
He's not a Jedi. Yet, I have a feeling that even though he's a stormtrooper and he left the First Order because he's like, I can't deal with all of this. I didn't sign up for this, you know. I feel like eventually maybe he won't end up as a Jedi, but I think he'll be an X-wing pilot maybe for the Resistance. I think that's what it's gonna his direction. I'm thinking, but yeah, great performance from being a stormtrooper to, and not in a coma, but the arc he went through, and he fought Kylo Ren. I mean, you got to give him props. At least he held it for about a minute.
Yeah, he's like, fuck it, come on, bitch. You're probably gonna chop my head off. Bring it on.
Like, come on, man, bring it.
Yeah, I really like that too. I mean, and that was the thing. He started off kind of cowardly and just really terrified, and then got to the point where he's like, you know what, it's for Rey. Fuck it, and just threw it all out there and kind of went for it, and he was like, thug life, I'm going to stand up to this Sith bitch right here.
Thug life, yes.
John Boyega's got thug life tattooed across his belly button. All right. Well, no, Finn was great. Great character, and I'm really excited to see where they're going in the future with him. And let's get into the big baddie of this movie, and that was Kylo Ren.
Yes.
So... Yes, Kylo Ren, a.k.a. Ben Solo.
Ben Solo, yes.
So, yes, this was a great character. Really, I didn't see his son. I mean, the whole Han Solo son thing. I did not see that coming.
No. It was theorized that Kylo Ren, a.k.a. Ben Solo, and Rey are related. But it turns out, as of right now, they only know each other by their encounters in this movie. They don't know each other in the past. So that's interesting there.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like when we see that flashback, Rey was dropped off old enough that she would remember some stuff. She was like 7 or so. I mean, she wasn't a little tiny kid, I don't think. So when we see her like and the freaking shuttle taking off, her standing there getting pulled away in her flashback.
Yeah.
I mean, she would have remembered that, I would think.
Yeah, you would think, but I'm thinking that's when Luke left her on Jakku.
Yeah.
After the fallout, but
that's just speculation.
Yeah, speculation. But Kylo Ren, I will have to say, is that Kylo Ren is definitely a different villain than we've ever experienced. We've only had an experience of Darth Vader in the present, and then in the past with the prequels. This is like a guy. He's not fully evil. He's fighting with his light side of him, and it's like people had issues with him dealing with that and the fact that he's not fully dark, but I like the fact that he's evolving, and he's going to be evolving in this trilogy, not just first episode of the new trilogy. He's fully bad. No, not really. He's fighting within himself to like, okay, what side do I want to pick? And ultimately we know what side he picks with. Yeah.
Yeah. No, he I like that. The inner battle thing was really appealing. It was really cool to see. And I mean, Adam Driver did a great job as Kylo Ren. He really did. He did a really great job. I mean, when he got that mask off, I thought, okay, we're gonna get this dude. He's got this mask on. He looks like a badass. He's got this presence. And if he takes that shit off, I've seen what that dude looks like. He ain't gonna pull it off. That's what I kept thinking to myself. I'm like, please keep the mask on. And then he took the mask off, and he's got that big ass nose that just stands out at you. But he really did pull it off well. He had that vulnerable yet angry, kind of scary, kind of feel to his like persona, his presence. So I mean, I really think Adam Driver like just killed it as Kylo Ren. He did such a great job, and he's definitely going to be a Star Wars baddie to watch out for in the future.
Especially in 8, how they ended his character with, like, I need to finish your training. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, okay.
And I like that aspect of him too, that he's kind of a Padawan that said "fuck you" and just took off.
He's obviously not experienced.
Yeah, you can see the way he fights.
Yeah, he has some skill, but when a Force user, Rey, finally closes her eyes and accepts the Force, and she can take him down, that's kind of obvious that he's not been training, and he needs to train more, essentially, if he's going to fight back.
And I love the way they did that whole that his whole like bastard sword kind of lightsaber, because he doesn't have the finesse and everything like all the Jedi we've seen in the prequels and in the original trilogy. I feel that like doing it that way and giving him that bastard sword, kind of just wailing and taking out what you can get, kind of thing. That's a really cool aspect to that character, just because it's something we've never seen before.
Yeah.
And plus, that saber crackles like a beast.
You can tell that it's not. Not as. It looks like it's broken. Maybe
it might be. It might just be like ghettofied and held together with like toothpicks and some bubble gum.
Probably. Whatever. Let's put it together.
All right. So let's go on to the next guy. My favorite character in this movie is Poe Dameron. I was digging on Poe. Poe was awesome.
Yeah, he was definitely badass. Oscar Isaac did a really great job. I was trying to remember his name. But yeah, I mean, the opening scene with him there getting the piece of the map for where Luke is, and the way he was just responding and how he was acting, and through that whole entire scene about seeing Kylo Ren, like, how does this work? Do I talk first? You talk first? Yeah. That whole funny moment. I mean, instantly I was hooked on Poe. I'm like, yes, I want more Poe. So, yeah.
I definitely think they could have used him more in the movie.
Yeah, they kind of just, okay, well, they're going to crash land on Earth, back on Jakku, essentially, and we're not going to see him until about more than halfway into the movie. Then we'll see him again. But his comeback was pretty awesome, though, taking out at least, like, 15 TIE fighters.
Oh, yeah. I loved when they were escaping at the first part, and he's like, always wanted to drive one of these.
Yeah.
He jumps in the TIE fighter, and he's like, damn, this thing's got some...
He got to hang out in TIE Fighter for a bit.
Yep.
He basically took down essentially almost the entirety of the starship with just one TIE Fighter. I mean,
yep. He handled business. That's what it was. He Yeah, he went in there and put the foot down. But he my favorite part about that TIE Fighter scene is he's like, right when he gets it going and he like lets it loose and he's just oh my god, these things can move. That shit was great. He's just like getting pulled away. He's like, holy shit.
It was awesome, yeah.
Now Poe, I really wish, like I said, I wish we got more of him. I wish he was in more of the movie. I mean, I feel that they're just introducing us to him, but I'm thinking that he's going to become like maybe the new almost Han Solo for the group.
Yeah, I mean, the way they set it up, I mean, he was... Obviously, I feel like that some of the scenes they've kind of shortened or cut out completely, so there's probably less of him than we got to see in this movie. Maybe on like a Blu-ray, we'll get it extended or deleted scenes or whatever. But I mean, the way they set him up, I mean, he's confirmed also to come back in Episode 8, obviously, and I feel like they're probably going to use him probably more because now it feels like they're going to be more now that we know the story of what this movie is. I think now once we get to Episode 8. It'll be more clear, and they won't have to be so secretive. Like, okay, let's stick with Rey. Now we can kind of explore the other stories that are kind of happening that are intertwining into the big overthing of Luke and their first order and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree with you too. I mean, I think we're gonna get more of him, and he'll have more room to grow and become more and more of a main focal character instead of a almost side character. I mean, he still had a good plot that was in there, but I mean, well, I mean, only the future could tell on that one.
Yeah.
But now let's go into Supreme Leader Snoke.
Oh.
Now this has been like the only real hate this movie's been getting.
Yeah, his look, or the fact that we don't know who he is.
Now I've got a speculation that we can talk about as well about him. But
Well,
I mean, character wise, I mean, you don't. I feel that the way they did it, and as much CG as they did it, you don't feel that it's Andy Serkis at mocapping that.
no, it feels like an alien, and I think that's the point, because we're like, okay, because at first, I will admit, when I was watching this movie and you first see him in the chair, and it's before the reveal of the hologram, I'm like, holy shit, that rumor a couple months ago that he's like 25 feet tall is real. Holy crap. Yeah. And thank God it's a hologram. I'm like, dude, they can't do this. Because you're bringing in a villain who's 25 feet tall. Oh, but the damage on his face and the way he talks, especially like part of his mouth is kind of pushed in, so it's kind of weird to see him talk. It's very obvious he has a connection to the cast, like the original cast, and how he wants to find Luke. I think we're going to learn a lot more, I'm hoping, in 8.
Oh my god. It's gonna I mean, I'm feeling that it's gonna be something crazy, and yeah, we'll get more into that when we talk about our thoughts for what's happening in the future. Because I don't want to give too much away with him.
Yeah.
Now one character that we kept getting hyped up and hyped up and hyped up, and there was toys and everything out there, and we get to see her for like a total of like 6 minutes in the whole movie, and that is Captain Phasma. I mean, damn, she's got more pop figures out there than any other character from this movie. That bitch was everywhere, and then she's like in the movie for like 6 minutes total.
She's everywhere, but not in the movie.
Yeah, I feel like personally, Captain Phasma is the Boba Fett of this series so far.
Yeah, I mean, the way they said her, the way it was kind of told to us about this badass, First Order General type character. She's a chromed out stormtrooper with like a badass weapon. Never uses it. And the one time we actually see her in her armor and she's walking down a hallway, like that shot they have or whatever in the trailers of her walking, that's the shot right before she gets, kidnapped by Han. And like, okay, I have a feeling they cut out a lot of her stuff.
I think so too, because like that whole time I'm thinking, man, this is Gwendolyn Christie. Let's get some character in this chick, because she's a damn robot that's not doing shit right now. That's what it just feels like. And I'm like, since we didn't get into her more, and we didn't have any extra of Captain Phasma, it just feels like the character's almost just left behind. Like, we were really expecting way more because she was hyped so much.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad they announced she's coming back in 8. And someone brought this up, and I have to say this because it's really good. It's not my original thought, but there is a reason why I think she'll have a bigger role in 8 is because Finn is the one who put her in the trash compactor. She comes back in 8 for a revenge, so that's going to be a pretty interesting deal on Finn's story. Because if she's coming back in 8, she's coming after Finn hard. So,
yeah, that is true. Yeah, she's gonna. I feel that is correct. She's gonna come back. She's gonna want revenge on that ass. She's gonna have to start killing some people. But let's get into our new droid and everyone's favorite now is BB-8.
Now, of joy, yes.
Yeah, BB-8 was awesome, and I went in there kind of like, man, nothing's gonna beat R2. But I mean, R2 had a run for his money. BB-8 was fucking funny.
I mean, yeah, BB-8. I mean, a lot of great funny moments. The lighter thumbs up.
Oh my god, I could not, dude. I started dying when that shit happened.
It was so good. I didn't see it coming. Because Finn just like this, and he's like, yeah. And he's like so excited. But what I really like about the BB-8 droid is all the funny moments are great, but there's a lot of emotion in the character, like more emotion than we've seen from R2-D2. I mean, C-3PO talks English, but R2-D2 just beeps and boops and all that kind of stuff. You feel the emotion in R2-D2, but BB-8, I mean, the fact that it can like tilt its head down when it's sad, or it can head around really fast. I mean, a whole new angle to the droids, I think, with that one.
Yeah, it definitely gives you more insight into the droids than we've ever got before.
Yeah.
I mean, R2 has his little sounds that he said and everything, but BB-8, like you're saying, you really feel it. Like, this little bastard's, like, gonna grow on you. If you don't like him now, you'll like him in a little while. Because it's just really cool. And, like, they pushed him so much in the advertising and all the toy sales and everything that I was like, man, this character better not suck. Or we better not get him for, like, 2 seconds and then that's it.
Yeah.
But, I mean, he played a big part. He took the R2-D2 role from the original trilogy. Because as everyone has seen and everyone's saying online, that it's a direct copy, basically, in the plot itself. I mean, there are differences, but, like, generally it's the same kind of plot. The scavenger, like, desert living person goes to space, joins the rebels, and all that. I mean, it's... Generally, piece by piece, it does lay together in generally the same kind of plot idea. And that's what everyone's saying. They're throwing a fit about that.
I don't understand why, because, I mean, it worked so well for the first one. And, I mean, yeah, there's certain plot devices and elements they use from A New Hope, and they transfer over to Force Awakens. But, I mean, I don't remember a major character dying in Episode 4 that's very impactful like in 7.
Yep.
And the big bad villain, Vader, wasn't a whiny little brat and was trying to fight the light side in 4 like it happened in 7 with Kylo Ren. So there's a lot of differences, but yeah, the similarities are there. But, I mean, R2-D2 was in the movie, not much, but I feel like that with R2-D2 Awakened, The Force Awakens, R2-D2 Awakens.
It ain't about Rey, it's about R2-D2.
If Luke comes back to the Resistance, which I'm not sure, then I think R2-D2 is going to have a bigger impact in the movie, I think, just overall.
Now, do you think if they bring back Luke into, like, the main story arcs, if it's going to completely, like, eclipse the new characters?
I don't think so, no, because the way they set this up, I mean, let's say Rey is, in fact, Luke's daughter, then it will factor into the main story. I mean, think about it. Luke was only in the movie for like 30 seconds at the very, very end. Yeah. However, he was the main focal point in the entire film because it was all about getting that last piece of the map to find Luke. And it's like R2-D2 Awakens to show 95% of the map, while the last 5 comes from BB-8, and he had in his entire time the First Order was trying to get. They have the map too, but they don't have that last piece. It's all about Luke, and so. Like I was saying before, the marketing team has to be applauded because that's the synopsis. Luke's disappeared. The First Order wants that map. So, no, I feel like that Luke is the main focus of the movie. It's just we don't see him until the very end. So him coming back is not going to overshadow. It's just going to be a very strong presence that we already had with Han in Episode 7. So,
all right. I mean, yeah, I agree with you. I mean, it's going to be a different kind of look than what we were expecting, and they did do a great job at never showing us Luke.
Yeah.
Because he's only in the movie a fucking tiny little bit.
Yeah, good tease. Good tease. Wars, give me more.
Yep. That's what they did. That's what this movie did for me, is it gave me that lead up that we didn't get in any of the prequels. Like, all the prequels tied a little pretty bow on it, ended it on a happy-go-lucky fucking go fuck yourself moment. And they all were individually completed stories, whereas The Force Awakens is doing what the original trilogy did and keeping it a continuation. Now, a lot of us never had to experience that because we didn't see that and then have to wait 3 years and then didn't see that and have to wait 3 years. We were able to switch that VHS tape in for the next one.
Yeah, it ends on a cliffhanger, which I think is smart because if they would have ended with Rey's handing Luke the lightsaber and he grabs it and says, "Thank you, my daughter," and then it ends, like, that's still a cliffhanger, but it's like now we know everything. We hear Luke speak. He calls that "You're my daughter, Rey." It's just, I like the fact that they did.
Yeah, if they would have done that, I would have been like, it would have been like, it would have, to be honest, it would have been like jerking it and then just blowing the load, and then you're like, fuck, I should have waited. Because then you're like, damn, now what am I supposed to look forward to?
Exactly.
But now let's talk about the big elephant in the damn room. Han Solo does die.
Uh,
In your theater, was it packed?
yes, I had not horrible seats, but they were not the best, and
Yeah.
I had to like look up a little bit. I wasn't like sitting in the front or whatever, but literally people were clapping when the Millennium Falcon was first represented after the piece of junk, and then they go to the Millennium Falcon. People ringing out. Han and Chewie come on. C-3PO. R2-D2. Then, when that moment happened, I was expecting screams or people going, "What?" Like screaming in the theater when the stab.
Yeah.
No, silence.
Oh shit.
And the reason why, because I was doing it and my mom was doing it next to me. Our mouths were open in shock. I think that's what it was, because I didn't see it coming. I had a feeling once he said Ben, and then he's walking on the walkway or whatever. I'm like, no, this is it. Han's done. Like this is not going to end well. It just can't. The way they set it up. But it was a beautiful scene. But man,
yeah. With my theater, it was a little bit different because like I was so surprised by it. Like I did not. I saw it coming a little bit when we got up on the and he was doing that. He was walking towards him,
yeah.
trying to get him to talk to him. I'm like, just go away, Han. Shoot that kid in the back of the head and run. But like no, I couldn't help myself. I was sitting there and I was like, because Han Solo's always been like one of my favorite characters in Star Wars, and I was distraught because what had happened is I'm sitting there and I'm like, okay, oh shit, this shit's gonna go down right now, and then they killed him. I'm like, Han! Like I yelled in the theater. My wife's like hitting me. I'm like,
Han in Star Wars, Con!
I was like, Han! All loud, and my wife's like, shut the fuck up, Jesus Christ. Everyone else is busted up.
It was bad. Like, I saw the movie 7:20 p.m. on a Thursday night. Friday at like 8:30, 9 o'clock in the morning, I'm at work. I'm starting to do, beginning of my work day. And I felt this thing in my stomach, and I felt this pain on my heart, and I was wondering what it was, and then it hit me. Oh, yeah. I lost one of my favorite characters of all time in the Star Wars universe. It was still affecting me the next day.
Yeah.
It still does. It still hurts.
I saw that shit last night.
Damn.
And because I didn't get there until Sunday, and so I was like, I went and saw it IMAX 3D, and when that scene happened, and I screamed Han, and I'm just like, I was sitting there like for the rest of that scene when like Chewie's going nuts. I'm like, they just fucking killed Han Solo. I couldn't get over it. Like I was like Chewie. I was watching Chewie kill some motherfuckers, and I'm just like, they just fucking killed Han Solo. I'm just sitting there all distraught. My wife's like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "Baby, you don't understand. They just fucking killed Han Solo.
He's done. He's dead."
I was like, "Fuck, we better have some flashbacks. I need to see Harrison Ford, make sure he's still alive."
I was watching a couple spoiler reviews from different people, like Famous, and then just smaller people who did reviews for spoilers, and I noticed something interesting. A lot of people didn't start getting emotional or start like tearing up at the Han gets stabbed. They said it's when Chewie screams after he gets stabbed is the emotional part, where it's like Chewie just saw his brother. He's seeing his brother die. I mean, it's just so heartbreaking. I'm like, God, it just bad day. Bad day.
Bad day.
Yes.
I love the movie, but fuck you, J.J. Abrams.
God damn it. And originally, I read this today, I have to mention this. Originally, they weren't even going to do that. Like, apparently this was like a decision they kept thinking about for a while. Interestingly enough, because we already talked about him, did you know that at one point, Poe Dameron was supposed to die at the very beginning of that Jakku battle, at the very beginning of the movie? They were just going to kill him off.
No.
Right there. That was the thing. And then apparently Han was not supposed to die, or that whole scene wasn't supposed to go down the way it did. But I personally believe Harrison Ford pushed for this to happen because he wanted to die in Return of the Jedi.
Yeah, I remember hearing that.
And ever since I heard that story, I'm like, this is not good. He's going to die in this trilogy. He dies in the first movie. I'm like, you piece it. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, dude, when it happened, I mean, it sticks with you. And, I mean, that's the character that we all grew up just, like, idolizing. Han Solo was the badass freaking, I mean, he was awesome. I mean, you couldn't like Star Wars and hate Han Solo.
Exactly.
If you did, you're un-American.
I mean, he's one of the three main people, but of the good side, I mean, what's not to love? He's a badass. He shot first, by the way.
Yeah, he shot first. Fuck Greedo.
Someone made a really good joke saying when he went into Maz Kanata's like little canteen area, he should have just shot somebody first just to make it up for it. But nothing happened that way. But yeah.
Now, what did you think about Maz Kanata?
I really enjoyed her character. I didn't know what to think of it because they had that one picture of her on the poster when they released the official poster the day before the big Monday, October trailer. So I didn't know what to expect. I know that she was motion captured and all this kind of stuff, but I was quite surprised. I was expecting it to be just a character that just kind of just is wise, but yet she knew a lot, and she kind of figured out Finn and saying, you know, you're not who you say you are, and then the whole angle of her she's the one who tells Rey that the lightsaber calls to you and that you need to close the eyes and, you know, let the Force in. I mean, it's just like, this character basically moved the plot along and it didn't feel forced. It felt like, okay. And the fact that the character's not dead, so I mean, the character could provide more information because, I mean, I feel like it was just the tip of the iceberg of what that character could have said to them. Like, she could have said something that saved Han. I don't know. Who knows?
Fucking Maz Kanata should have saved Han.
Maz Kanata should have showed up, and she's so tiny, just walk under between his legs and just punch Kylo Ren in the dick. Like, come on, Han, we gotta get out of here.
Man, now I love the line when they walk into her cantina and she's just like, "Where's my boyfriend? I love me that Wookiee." And I was like, "Oh shit!" I was like, Maz Kanata's freaky.
Exactly, like in a Wookiee. I mean, nothing wrong with that.
All right, so we do get Princess Leia, or General, but I love how C-3PO's interaction with her. He keeps trying to call her princess and stops himself.
Yeah,
and I just love that shit. But I mean, we get to see Fisher back for Princess Leia, so that was really cool. I mean, her character didn't do a whole lot, but she was integral to the plot.
She's kind of the mother figure of the movie. I mean, think about it. And, I mean, yeah, the first scene she has with Han, and then C-3PO puts his head in the middle of him, which completely ruins the moment. I mean, I personally believe that if you take out the scenes with Leia and Han in a scene together or having those talks about their son, she wouldn't have a lot to do in this movie, the way they set up the story. Because it's kind of like, okay, you haven't seen the characters in 30 years since the Return of the Jedi, so now we're going to give you those moments that you want to see, and ultimately they're not going to end up back together. But, I mean, the way she embraced Rey when they came back and Han's not there, I mean, it was just a touching moment. I'm like, you know, she doesn't know Rey, as far as we know, because they never went that direction. Maybe Leia can feel the Force in her and realize that's my brother's daughter, you know. That she just embraces Rey immediately. I'm like, this is touching. I mean, they don't know each other as far as we know, and they just hug it out. I'm like, this is beautiful.
This is beautiful. Oh my god.
And then I like the fact that she says, "May the Force be with you."
Yeah, I love that shit.
Like, that was good.
All right, let's now, since we're right here, let's go ahead and get into some speculation time and what we think is going to happen in the future, and just some ideas that we're shooting around. Like, since we're on the subject of Leia, I really think she's going to be a full-on Force user some point in this trilogy. Because
lightsaber, or
I'm not sure, but at least be able to use the Force to control someone, maybe. Because if you remember the first promotional trailer we got, Luke says, "My father had it, I have it, my sister has it." So obviously, and now you have it. So obviously now we know he's talking to Rey, and he's working his way down the line. So that means Leia has connection to the Force. Maybe she's practiced on it a little bit, or maybe when Luke was training the Padawan, she was with them, or what? You never know. I mean, they didn't mention any of it, but that's just one thought I have, that I think she's gonna sometime in this trilogy use the Force in some way.
That would be very intriguing. It'd be a very different step to take with the character. But, I mean, at this point, I think she wants to, even though her son kills her, well, we assume her ex-husband or, the father of her child.
Yeah, baby daddy.
She'd probably want to exact revenge. Maybe not on Kylo Ren, but maybe Supreme Leader Snoke. Not sure if she would actually fight him with a saber, but I mean, she's leading the resistance, which I think is kind of her position. But I mean, if let's say stormtroopers storm the resistance base, I wouldn't put it past her to force push some characters out of the way. That'd be, just imagine there's like in 8, there's like a stormtrooper, they fly down, they find the resistance base, and they're attacking, and then Leia comes out, and she force pushes like 5 stormtroopers, like, oh my god. And that's the only time you get to see it. I'm like, oh, yes.
You gotta know how many nerds would lose their mind in that theater right there.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. I would. Man, I'd jump out of my seat. Holy shit! She just force pushed the people.
Yeah.
It'd be a totally unexpected thing.
What do you expect for Luke in 8? Like, what do you expect to see there?
I personally feel that Luke is gonna have that story arc, kind of leading him back into everybody else's lives. I think he's not gonna want to return right away, and he's gonna have to be convinced, or maybe Rey and him are gonna have that kind of connection. I don't think they're gonna give away the "I'm your father" thing right away.
Yeah.
I think it'll come to fruition. They'll find out about it, and it'll come to light. Maybe the end of 8, maybe 9. You never know. But I think it is coming. It will happen. It's gonna be that "I'm your father" fucking little thing they did, like they did with Vader.
There's a reason why they didn't show her parents, or one of her parents, because when that ship was flying away when she was young, and there was somebody holding her arm, but you don't see who the person is, but the ship flying away, it's like, okay, well, if it was just like 2 random people that was her parents, then they would just show them, but they don't. They keep it hidden. Like a pilot flies away in a ship. Who do we know is a pilot? Luke Skywalker. So it's kind of hard to believe that she's not related. But then someone mentioned maybe she's related to Obi-Wan Kenobi, but I don't know how that would work, because you'd have to have a son or daughter that he had, and then they would have Rey, because there'd be no way Obi-Wan could have had Rey, because Rey's too young.
All right.
But yeah, Luke. I mean, Luke's probably not. I'm wondering what the time jump is going to be from 7 to 8. That's the big question. Because I feel like it's going to be a time jump of maybe a year or a year and a half directly when the movie comes out. There'll be a year and a half later, and the opening crawl will tell you, and Luke's probably still on the island with Rey training her, maybe. I don't know. But, yeah, he'll probably come back to the Resistance, but it won't be like the first or second act of the movie. It'll be like when something major goes down, he'll return to the Resistance to, kick some ass, or, rejoin his sister.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see how Luke's return's gonna happen. It could go so many different ways. And do you remember all the theories everyone had that Luke Skywalker is Kylo Ren? Well, that shit all got blown away.
Oh God!
But when they were saying that, I'm like, no, dude, I don't care what happens. Luke's not going dark.
That theory was horrible.
I was like, we've seen Adam Driver in the damn costume.
I know, people were like, here's a picture of Kylo Ren with the mask. It's Luke Skywalker. And then immediately someone posted a picture with Adam Driver unmasked. I'm like, no. And why would they do that? They would completely destroy everything, because the original trilogy set up Luke to be a Jedi. And then in 7, you're going to make him a Sith Lord or a person of the dark side. You completely destroy the original trilogy because it's canon. So it's like it didn't matter what he did in 4, 5, and 6. He's a Sith Lord now.
Yeah, I was telling everyone too that I had so many people complaining about like the prequels on different posts I did, and I'm like, guys, like I'm not a fan of them myself. There are aspects I like of all of them, but it's canon. You gotta deal with it. It's there. Metachlorians exist. I mean, yes, they might not have the ability to track them anymore, but they exist. All that crazy shit happened, and the pod races with Mannequin Skywalker really happened.
Yeah.
So you gotta let it go. It's canon. But one thing I want to see is, do you think in episode 8 or 9 or maybe one of the offshoot movies, Finn will develop some form of source powers of the Force
Uh,
power?
I don't know, because, I mean, can you develop them or are you born with them? That's the question. I'm not
Now,
sure if you can develop them. Can you?
no, but like Ray actually, she's about the same age as Finn. She's never used the Force. She's never known about it. She's just had feelings. I mean, maybe Finn's had the same kind of feelings. We just didn't go into that in the movie, so we don't know.
Maybe. I mean, it'd be interesting to see that. I mean, I guess it would work in the sense of the fact that we have a couple of villains. It's not just like Darth Vader and Darth Sidious. We have Kylo Ren, General Hux, Captain Phasma. We have Supreme Leader Snoke, and plus whoever Benicio del Toro is playing in Episode 8, who's confirmed to be a type of villain. That's 5 villains. So having another Jedi around besides Luke and Rey, not a bad idea. I mean, I'll be game for it. I mean, he obviously has some sort of skill with the saber. He fought a stormtrooper with some type of electric rod who called him a traitor because you left the First Order. Then he fights Kylo Ren for a minute, but he's still dead. So, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't have an issue with it if it happened.
Yeah, that's a cool one. Speaking of like the villains, I mean, now the big theory about Andy Serkis's character, Supreme Leader Snoke, that I've been hearing all over online is that he may be Darth Plagueis.
That is the theory I've heard, and after seeing the movie, I am more convinced he is Darth Plagueis. The way they set it up, I mean, he hates Luke Skywalker. He obviously he's acting like a Sith Lord because Luke went into hiding. He's the last of the Jedi. He was trying to train more Jedi, but obviously that failed. Yeah. So he went off to hiding. Supreme Leader Snoke, we didn't see on screen in person. He's always a hologram, and he's hidden somewhere. And he didn't even say where he was when he told General Hux, "Bring Kylo Ren to me." We don't know where he is. He's in hiding too. So I have a feeling he's scarred. Whether that's from the regeneration of him cheating death after Darth Sidious tried to kill him. But I think, yes, he's Darth Plagueis. That's what I think.
Yeah, because like I remember, I mean, a lot of people don't like Episode 3, but Episode 3, yeah, the Chancellor does tell Anakin Skywalker about Darth Plagueis and that he killed his master and that he had grown so powerful he gained the ability to cheat death. And he could cheat death for others. So that's why I'm feeling that this could be Darth Plagueis. I mean, where would he have gone, though? I mean, after Sidious took over, why would he just disappear? I mean, maybe it takes that long to regenerate, or I don't know. But he's
still regenerating. Maybe what we saw with his scars
is almost there.
Maybe. That'd be interesting. If, like, at 8, he's completely changed in the sense of where he's back to kind of normal. Like, oh, okay. And they have to kind of explain that, too. So.
Yeah, I mean, that would be actually really cool because that would give us a whole nother look at a character that we weren't expecting to get in the first place. And that would give us another badass Sith Lord, which is like the Sith Lord of the Sith Lord of the Sith Lord.
Yeah.
So he's the one who trained he's the granddaddy trainer out of all these guys. So he could be a bad motherfucker.
I bet.
So I mean that's just one thing I always wanted to know because as soon as I saw him, I'm like, and I saw how scarred he was, I just thought to myself, I'm like, this dude could be Darth Plagueis, just different name. I mean, why wouldn't, I don't know. I just don't understand why he wouldn't just go with his name straight out. He's running the bad guys. He's not like he's should be hiding it.
Well, I mean, Kylo Ren changed his name from Ben Solo, and the fact is that if it was well known that this is Darth Plagueis, and then the whole conversation between Han and Leia about Ben changing, Snoke changed him. They would say Darth Plagueis changed him. And then I think it would change the whole dynamic. Luke wouldn't have left because there's still a Sith Lord out there that I fought, his apprentice, Darth Sidious. I mean, and the Master's still out there. why at that point you're completely destroying the whole idea. I think it's just he's hiding in plain sight, essentially. That's what.
I mean, I like that. That's actually a good one. But I've been hearing a lot about it. That's why I want to talk about that one. So another thing I want to talk about though is now that Han's gone, is Rey officially the new captain of the Millennium Falcon, or it's Chewie?
I think it's the way it's implied. She was in the captain's chair, and he was obviously sitting, or he always sits. So it makes sense. Now, I don't know how far that's going to stick because as we've seen in this movie, people just take the Millennium Falcon all the time. Apparently, Han can never keep it. So can Rey keep it? I don't know, but if the movie jumps ahead like a year and a half later or whatever, I don't think it's going to jump right to the exact scene after. Maybe that's how it opens up with they already filmed that scene. They're going to continue it, and then it jumps ahead or whatever in time. But I mean, if she's still on the island with Luke and training all that kind of stuff, I mean, BB-8 and Chewie and I think another droid or maybe
R2D2.
Yeah, it's like, okay, so are they just going to chill for over a year on the island? No, I think they're I think it's going to jump ahead in time. I think, but I mean, yeah, I believe that she's probably the leader because I mean, Han did say Chewie likes you, so I mean.
Yeah, I mean, I have a feeling too, and the weird thing is that I think that with them having her take the captain's chair at the end of the movie and fly the Millennium Falcon away, I think they're just trying to give us like a decoy at some point in time about maybe she's Han's daughter, maybe she's Luke's daughter.
That's intriguing. I personally believe she's Luke's kid, and
as do I.
Yeah, and I don't think it's Han's kid at all because I think it would have been kind of hinted at that he knows who she actually is, but he just treated her at first like a scavenger or something like that, or someone who was trying to steal the Millennium Falcon and they were trying to take it back and all this kind of stuff. And I mean, I don't think that that's the case, but I mean, the way they set it up with Han telling her that, I think Chewie likes you and all that kind of stuff, kind of hinting at Chewie likes Rey, that, I mean, it just makes sense because, I mean, she did fight Kylo Ren. Chewie saved her and Finn in the forest at the end. I think it just kind of makes sense if she takes over. I mean, they kind of hinted that in the trailers, though. And the pictures of her and the Millennium Falcon, I'm like, maybe they were trying to give us more hints about Han's not going to be around by showing those things, but I didn't think about it. Like, well, she's going to be part of the crew. It's not the case.
She's sitting in the Big Daddy seat.
Big Daddy.
Nah, so I mean, all in all, this movie hits so many amazing points.
It really does, yeah.
And it's like we could talk about this all day long because there's so much to talk about in this movie. But I think that this movie has done a great job reestablishing the Star Wars universe and getting new people interested in it. Because some people came in the prequels time, love them. Some people think they're ridiculous and they hate them. So this one gives that perfect blend of old and new that I think really can bring in the whole new generation into Star Wars. Do you have any final thoughts maybe about the movie in general that you really like?
It was really emotional. It hit a lot of great points. It felt like a Star Wars movie. I mean, the prequels have a lot of issues, but at some moments they were decent. They had some moments that were redeemable, I guess, in quotes of that. I mean, The Force Awakens is just masterful. I mean, critics love it. Fans are loving it. I mean, today when they came out with the official opening box office weekend numbers and it crushed the Jurassic World opening, it had 248 million opening weekend. That's like the biggest opening weekend ever domestically. I mean, that kind of proves that people love this movie, and I'm hoping to see it again this week or whatever, this coming weekend, whenever, because it deserves more than one viewing. It's just a masterful film with there's so many things in it that I think a second viewing will be a better experience. So, yes.
you'll have all the things that you love already, and you'll start picking out all the stuff you missed.
Yes.
And no, I want to get a second viewing as well, because this movie really does, guys. Our recommendation, I'd say we both say go see it right now.
Yes.
Like, turn this off, go to the movies right now, go see that shit, because it is awesome. But it's been great having Chainsaw on the podcast. We got to talk about something we both love, and that is Star Wars. And The Force Awakens is a great, great film. Go see it, everybody, now. Guys, but no, it has been great having Chainsaw on the podcast. Definitely go over to his channel, check out his channel, give him your like, your thumbs up, and subscribe to him. He does some great, great videos, and his podcasts are actually a lot of fun to listen to. So, guys, make sure you go over there. But Chainsaw, you got anything else you want to say to everybody?
Well, this was fun. I love talking about this movie, and I'm hoping that when Rogue One comes out next year and Episode 8 in a year and a half, the train keeps on rolling, baby. Star Wars is back, and I'm so glad it's back in a good way, because, my God, this could have been a train wreck, and this podcast would be all about what the fuck happened.
Yeah, and then we'd all be crucifying J.J. Abrams.
Yes.
Yes, so, he would get the George Lucas crucifixion.
Quite literally, yes.
All right, guys. Well, thank you very much for tuning in to this week's Nerd Logic podcast. Hope you guys return next week, and tell us what you guys thought about the podcast down in the comments down below. And like I said, go check out Chainsaw's channel, guys, and it's been cool hanging with you. Peace out. If you liked the video you just saw, make sure you rate it with that big thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe so you can check out all the other nerdy videos we have just like this one. Also, check out my Patreon account and become a patron if you like for access to exclusive content.